players that we're thankful for this holiday season here. Who wants to kick us off?
I'll start with my first one. And I don't have him in the home league, but I do have him in a league that I've been with my high school buddies. And he has been carrying my team for a good majority of the season. So the player that I'm most thankful for is Tyreek Hill. He has been, I think, you could make a case. It's unfortunate because the MVP, the league MVP, is now basically a quarterback award, right? It is exclusive to quarterbacks. But I think if there was to be a non-quarterback to win it this year, Tyreek Hill has got to be right at the top of that list of non-quarterbacks that should be in consideration for MVP. He's been dynamic. He has been scoring points, and in fantasy this year, he has been. I got him in an auction draft. He was worth every penny that I spent on him.
No, absolutely. So I went with a pair of running backs through up and downs with injuries, through inconsistent play, through everybody saying draft wide receiver early. Rachaad White and Brian Robinson were guys that you were able to pick up in kind of that mid to later round range, and both of them are now top 12 running backs. Brian Robinson coming in, I think, at running back number 4 or 5, and Rachaad White, I think 9. These guys have saved teams, right? Whether you dealt with the Eckler injury, the Saquon injury, Nick Chubb going down, the deficiencies with Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson. Obviously, if you had to survive and now you have Breece Hall back, these guys, you could add Raheem Mostert to that list, honestly. But these guys who you're able to pick up late helped carry through your running back room while your top end picks were injured and dinged up. So I am super thankful for them because they have helped me in a number of different leagues to remain relevant at the running back position, where I did not have to go overpay for a borderline RB2 just to get points on the board.
Fair enough. So, player that I'm grateful for is a guy that most players didn't even start the season with him on the roster, and that is Puka Nacua. He's a guy that came in. You picked him up off the waiver wires in either week 1, week 2, and has put up a top 10 wide receiver your season so far for you, and really just kind of been showing up, showing out, and looks to be able to have a very strong finish going forward as well.
All right, the next guy that I am thankful for is CeeDee Lamb. He's been a nice little bright spot on an otherwise dismal year that I've had in the home league. Still trying to figure out if I should leverage him. I know we're getting close to trade deadline, so that may or may not happen. But as far as players that have been relatively consistent, and for where I got him to deliver the way that he has, it's been really nice. I think Dak Prescott owners have been very grateful for CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb owners have been very grateful for CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, absolutely. For this one, I went with a pair of quarterbacks, much for the same reason. I'm thankful for Sam Howell and Brock Purdy. Right? Joe Burrow going down, Daniel Jones going down, Deshaun Watson going down, Kirk Cousins going down, inconsistencies in Atlanta and in New England, Anthony Richardson going down, Aaron Rodgers going down, all these things, and these late round quarterbacks. Yeah, and these late round quarterbacks have quite literally saved your potential season, right? Sam Howell, top 5 quarterback. Brock Purdy, top 10 quarterback. These are guys who you're able to either draft late or pick up off the waiver wire and the scrap heap, and are for the most part weekly starters for you. And I am thankful for them and to them for their their performances, for their grittiness, and for their ability to, help in a position that if you didn't go, you know, Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, Mahomes has kind of fallen flat, right? Sam Howell is actually a better fantasy quarterback right now than Patrick Mahomes is. So I am super thankful to them for the strategy of wait on quarterback, and you can still make it loading up at skill positions. These guys prove me right.
I've got another quarterback to add to that mix there, and that's Kyler Murray, right? Like, certainly has come off of IR here, put up kind of back to back QB1 weeks for you. So a guy that you would have either drafted and stashed or picked up late off the waiver wire, and can certainly give you a much needed boost at the position if needed, headed down the stretch here.
Yeah, my last guy is also a quarterback, and that has been CJ Stroud, who is putting together a really spectacular rookie season. A guy that you did not have to draft early because there were so many unknowns with him. And this rookie quarterback class, there were so many other options that you knew so that you didn't have to spend a ton of draft capital on. I can tell you right now, in the home league, CJ Stroud has punched his way into a keeper position for me because he's been that good, and where I picked him up is worth that draft penalty. I think I got him in the mid rounds, like 6 or 7, something like that. So I am more than happy to hang on to that player and absorb that draft pick because there's no reason, he's given me no reason to believe he's not going to be, in that upper echelon of quarterback next year.
Makes sense. I like it. Again, I am going to go with later, mid to late round receivers for very much the same reason, right? If you bombed on your second round pick, right, because of T. Higgins, because of Devonta Smith outside of 2 weeks has been frustrating, right? And some of these other options, Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley, some of these guys really took a hit for you. Deebo Samuel, but if you waited, you were able to pick up Brandon Ayuk and then pick up Cortland Sutton even further down the list. And Cortland Sutton is been kind of tried and true, right? 11.3 fantasy points in half point PPR is what he's been averaging. Ayuk, even better than that, 14.6 fantasy points in what he's been averaging per game. So these guys have been able to step in through whether it's bye weeks, whether it's injuries, whether just roster construction, and been key components to fantasy success this year. So thank you guys for showing up and doing your jobs.
I like it. Another guy that's just kind of a grind it out, get things done type of player. David Montgomery, a guy that in most leagues you're able to pick him up as your 4th or even 5th running back in most cases. A guy that outside of his getting injured the week and being out of those few games there has given you RB2 performances week in, week out at worst, with a lot more RB1 finishes on the week. So a guy that you were able to pick up late, and if you had the displeasure of drafting Bijan early or drafting Tony Pollard early, or you're drafting some of these guys early, you've been able to pivot to the David Montgomery and been okay on this one here. And a guy that, again, I think will be very serviceable down the stretch and do great things for managers that have him rostered for you. So any other thoughts on this segment before we move on?
No, I think that, lots to be thankful for, right? Lots. So we could have extended it earlier, right? Sam Laporta, right? Mm-hmm. We can all be thankful for Sam Laporta. He's been fun to watch. He's a top 5 tight end. You were able to get him a bit later because he's a rookie and the unknown. There are tons to be thankful for. There are obviously, it's kind of easy to talk about the bust the players were frustrated with and, things that didn't go our way this season. But I I think we can absolutely be thankful for this list of players and more when you're able to just be diligent and hammer the waiver wire, trade for the right players, and do the things that you need to do. You can overcome a lot.
Love it.
I'd also add to that a Devon Achane, a guy that we were all, if you had him, you were very thankful for him for the first 4 or 5 weeks that he was very, very serviceable. But that's another guy I think in our home league. I drafted him and then didn't have a spot for him and had to move off of him because he wasn't doing anything the first couple of weeks. And now the guy who's got him, we're going to keep it as a waiver wire pickup and a last round draft penalty, and that's pretty dang special.